Quanta from Audio Damage is a plugin that's hyper-focused on the task of granular synthesis. If you aren't familiar with granular synthesis, it's simply a way of taking a sample and playing back very tiny windows of that sample, and then you can determine the pitch and distribution of all of those little tiny subsamples of your sample. So a quick demonstration here is scanning through a simple voice file. That's true, and it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we aren't doing everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it. So it's just playing back little tiny windows, and until I move my finger, it doesn't advance to the next window. So already we've seen one use of MPE control on the vertical gesture for going through the file, and let's just try and take a look at a chord. So it quickly dissolves into nonsense and texture, and that's one of the great things about granular synthesis is its ability to create texture. So how do we put that under control of MPE, and what are some of the quick and interesting things we can do in Quanta? Quanta is great because it just gives you a quick view of the sample. It's not terribly literal or hyper precise because it just kind of, you need to get a range of where you are and you get an idea of what is being played back. And then it just gives you an oscillator, noise, some control over the grains, a filter, and output. There's not a bunch of effects and a bunch of different mixed types of synthesis in it. The controls are, of course, a lot of modulation. There's several envelope generators with different types and modes, and then there are some LFOs and sample and hold that you can apply, and then a matrix where you put everything together. So it's very clear as far as like what goes on. You can also quickly access things. So if you wanted to change the position or the shape according to the matrix, you can just turn a knob and then it quickly highlights that parameter in the matrix. And then you can just add amounts to it. Then the automated envelope generators and LFOs are on the left, and then all of your MIDI controls are on the right. So it makes it very quick and easy. What you will want to do when you're setting it up is go to the settings first and turn on MPE MIDI input mode. And then again, like most of these MPE things we've seen before, there's a pitch bend override, so you can customize that in the plugin per instance. And then aftertouch smoothing, some controllers are happier with that. With the Morph, I tend to not use it too much, maybe only a little bit. And then, of course, people really appreciate you can load different tunings. So it's not strictly a piano type Western tuning. You can use Scala files, I believe, and load different tables. And then you can save those settings as a default, which you may want to if you're always going to be using it as MPE. Preset-wise, the factory has several presets, and they're all, a lot of them are quite interesting. Some of them probably have MPE baked in, I don't know. But we'll go ahead and go through this in a stepwise fashion to show you how to do that. There's also some really great presets from our friends at Sonal System, the Strong Granular, and these have lots of different pads and presets for, sort of different moods. So back to the simple sort of voice preset that we have, we can start adding some MPE control in the matrix. And again, we can see it's very simple. The grain position, I've already done that with CC74. And we can do some grain length tuning with maybe with the same with that pressure, that same gesture. So it kind of gets more chaotic as you advance through the sample. We can add a grain random to the pressure, and aftertouch, that's AT.
They are true. It is. That doesn't mean I'm doing everything.
And grain tune randomness, which is kind of an interesting one. And again, we can add that to. And now we've got sort of like a buzzing bees from a simple voice sample. And then what's really cool about Quanta is that when you want to load a sample, you can just go ahead to the Finder and just drag in whatever samples you want. So now we'll have something very different. And we're getting a lot of clicks because of the shape. We might want to change that to something a little bit smoother. And so on. So you can, already we have a very different feeling just by loading a different sample. So it's actually quite simple. And again, you can add a filter. There's 2 filters, and you can run them in serial or parallel. We can take a listen to what that sounds like really quickly. We'll add a lot of resonance because I kind of like that when we're working with these things, especially on the pressure. So go to the matrix and just move our graphic here, and that'll take us to the frequency. I'll put that on Aftertouch. With Quanta, again, it's hyper-focused. You can really just kind of mess around with these presets. The presets work across your different installations because it saves the file with the preset. So if you want to move this to your iOS version of Quanta, you can easily do that. And so, yeah, I don't want to go too much into granular sound design here. I mostly just want to focus on using MPE and how to set it up, and then where you can apply that and get different sounds. Some of these different presets have very radically different. Very different levels of expression. So they're really easy to manipulate. I can't say enough about the matrix in this. It's really given me a lot of freedom to explore different aspects of granular synthesis. So because it's simple, because it's hyper-focused, this is a short video, and it's very easy to get running with Quanta. Definitely an essential part of any synthesis toolkit because it does give you a very focused control.